You should believe in yourself more. Absolutely. And with this story, this podcast, I would like to increase the trust in yourself. So, let me introduce you to the story of Francisco Pizarro and the conquest of the Inca Empire. Believing in yourself is one of the greatest investments you'll ever make in your entire life. It's not just about the outcomes you'll get by doing so, but also the incredible ripple effect you can have on other people. The problem, though, is that people are scared. Maybe you are scared. You think that you're not capable of achieving anything worthwhile. But that's wrong. See, not betting on your ability to figure it out or not believing in yourself, whatever you're going through, will guarantee that you stay still. Therefore, not move forward in the direction that will actually change your life, or at least the situation. Probably it's a confidence issue. You have tried stuff in the past that kind of didn't work, and now you have decided that for the same reason it will never work. But again, that's wrong, because it can work. You know you are built for more, and I don't mean money, I mean life. To achieve and live a life you'll be proud of thinking back while on your deathbed. Not betting on your ability to believe in yourself, not betting on yourself, whether it's personal or work, will assure you'll stay exactly where you are. And if that's okay with you, then why are you even here? But if you want to get moving, then let me tell you the story. So, Spain conquered with just 300 soldiers, an empire of millions of people. That empire was the Inca Empire, Peru, and the man behind it all was Francisco Pizarro. But who was this Francisco Pizarro? Why should I care? Well, he did figure shit out a lot of times. Francisco Pizarro was an illegitimate son of a Spanish infantry officer. Unlike many people who end up achieving what he achieved, he grew up in poverty. He worked his way up and managed to join the Spanish expeditions, which enabled him to later participate in the conquest of Panama, which was a big thing. So while in Panama, rumors started spreading among settlers about an incredibly wealthy civilization somewhere far to the south. Indigenous people even told stories of a kingdom filled with gold, silver, and more. Spanish explorers called this mysterious region Biri or Peru, a name that will eventually become Peru, how we know it. Pizarro partnered with two other people, Diego del Mangro, an experienced soldier and explorer, and a priest whose name was Hernando de Luque, who helped finance the whole thing. The partnership was created to explore and find the civilization. And so the expedition began. The first one, though, was so tragic that they almost died. The men faced tropical diseases, hunger, hostile encounters. They weren't used at all. They were used to European conditions, but not the South Africa ones. So they went on through dense jungles, swarms. Almagro, it says, even took an arrow in the face. People died of disease, nothing good basically. So they had a choice. Either reassess and keep going, or get back to Panama and admit failure. Naturally, because we know the story, the choice they made was to continue the attempt to find this civilization. So they reassessed and they went on for the second time with the same goal, find this civilization. So they changed approach, better prepared, and they went a lot further to the south. And eventually, the group who was so desperately trying to find wealth and proof found and captured some indigenous traders who were carrying with them plenty of it, silver, gold objects, that actually proved that they were right. After this encounter, the situation was different. Now they had found the civilization. The choice to make was now, do we conquer or do we collaborate? In the end, they ended up with the first one because why not? We are Spain. But there was a problem. Pizarro and his group realized that in order to conquer this civilization, this empire, this newfound land, they had to ask permission of people in power at home, in Spain. They couldn't conquer territory independently, they needed a capitulación, which is a royal contract that granted them rights and defined their responsibilities. Another issue was that Pizarro and his partners had little political influence in Spain. So how do you do that? Pizarro had to figure out how to do that, so traveled across the Atlantic to Spain personally to try and figure this out. But how do you explain such a situation at home where you have just your words as proof, or have you? So Pizarro had to figure out how to gain influence first of all, then prove that they had found wealth, and convince Spain to grant them the charter necessary to conquer this empire. He bought evidence of wealth he had found, gold objects, silver stuff, animals that Europeans had never seen before, and even indigenous people to prove their point. At the Spanish court, Pizarro succeeded. In 1529, the crown signed the Capitulación de Toledo. So imagine Spain like a venture capitalist a little bit. So plenty of explorers went to the crown, claiming they found wealth and the possibility of expanding the empire, which is great for Spain. But some got permissions and funding, some didn't. This document enabled the explorers to do their thing basically with just a condition. They had, more than a condition, but the main thing it was they took all the risk and Spain gained the benefits basically. So Pizarro gained also the benefits because it was promised wealth and privileges. But remember that I said that there was a partnership between three people: Pizarro, Almagro, and the priest. Well, the second one, Almagro, wasn't so happy about the fact that Pizarro was the face and the perceived leader of the mission. Pizarro went to Spain, gained influence, and made it happen. Pizarro was promised by Spain privileges and wealth if he succeeded. He was taking all the credits, and all of this kind of pissed off over bro Almagro. This division would later become one of the causes of a violent civil war among the Spanish conquerors. After receiving the charter, Pizarro returned to Panama and prepared his final expedition. In 1532, with fewer than 300 Spanish soldiers, he entered the territory of the Inca Empire. But like any other time in Pizarro's life, there was a problem. This was an empire of millions of people stretching across much of the West and South America, which means if they got a lot of people that, if necessary, would fight. And they were just 300. But there was an opportunity, there was a catch. The empire was recently weakened by a recent civil war between two brothers, Atahualpa and Huascar, which, after the death of their father, the king, were battling for power. Atahualpa ended up overcoming the other brother and won the war, but even with a weaker empire, they vastly outnumbered the Spanish group. So they had to figure out something, or they wouldn't be able to complete the quest. Pizarro somehow manages to get a meeting with the king now, Atahualpa, and then the day comes. Pizarro and his group meet at Cajamarca to chat, they thought. But since the Spanish didn't seem like a real threat to Atahualpa, he came to Cajamarca relatively relaxed, with plenty of nobles almost dressed as a normal Tuesday, with little to no armor, relatively eased. Maybe the reason of this ease was the tens of thousands of soldiers outside the city ready to fight. But this was their biggest mistake. The Spanish group, saying that they would have been obviously obliterated if they fought face to face, organized an ambush. Soldiers were hidden all over the city, waiting for a signal to go on, with one goal and one goal only in mind, which was capture their king Atahualpa alive. Then the two empires meet. A Spanish friar hands the Bible to the king and asks him to collaborate with the Spanish Empire. He demanded that he accepts Christianity and Spanish authority. There are multiple voices on what happened next, but it is believed that the emperor refused, and even if he accepted, it is also believed the Spanish would have attacked anyway. Pizarro was practically betting on the fact that if we take their leader, then it was an easy game. And he was right. So the signal was deployed. Spanish started spawning all over the place. Atahualpa was surrounded and eventually captured. Now, you might be thinking, how in the bloody hell did they manage to get out with the emperor? Didn't he have thousands of soldiers? Yes, but remember, most of the army was outside. The Spanish played it so fast that they didn't have time to respond. So the king of this multi-million people empire was basically cooked. Not in the literal sense. They kept him alive to maintain order in the kingdom for a while, 4 years more or less, but eventually they killed him. And his death eventually ended the Inca Empire. Pizarro then entered the Inca capital, Cusco, and installed Spanish control. In 1535, he founded the city of Lima, which became the center of Spanish power in South America. But the victory did not bring peace. The same problem that existed before the conquest intensified. Diego de Almagro felt betrayed by Pizarro's rewards and authority. Their conflict escalated into a civil war. Almagro's supporters then assassinated Francisco Pizarro in his palace in Lima. A famous fact about this was that Pizarro fought back during the attack, famously drawing a line in the sand with his sword and challenging his attackers before being overwhelmed. He died at around 63 years old. I would love to link and expand on the idea of believing on yourself with this story. So, as you know, Francisco Pizarro and his group had to figure out a lot of stuff a lot of times. Betting on yourself won't guarantee that you'll succeed with whatever you're pursuing. It will still require a shit ton of work and consistency. But I do think that believing in oneself is the only way to truly achieve something. And it's always a choice if you think about it. Every day you're choosing your life with the actions you take, with the thoughts you have. Naturally, you don't have control over what comes into your mental inbox. But you do have control over what you give importance to and what you do about it. You could think complete garbage and still act in your best interest. Objective reality is changed by actions. Thoughts help or hinder, and for your beliefs and thoughts to help you, you need to believe in yourself more. Because having faith it will work out, having faith you will figure it out, will inevitably put you in a better place to achieve your goals. Why? Because it will put you in a situation where the probability of getting lucky is higher. It will ensure that you'll have the right pair of glasses to spot opportunities. It will ensure that everything you do is directed towards something in which you will make progress. And so, as a byproduct, you will create more confidence, and you'll have more confidence, and you'll believe in yourself more. It all creates momentum. Pizarro didn't have a clue what he was doing, yet he managed to conquer an empire. He didn't know if he would have made it, but believed in possibility of it happening. Do you think he was scared and unsure? Absolutely. But he didn't let his doubts and negative emotions dictate what he believed to be possible. He challenged his beliefs and pursued his ambition anyway. Fine, Andrei, I get it. But what does it really mean to believe in yourself more? What do I need to do? Believing in yourself is quite simply you entertaining the thoughts of success for a specific outcome. For example, let's take a match of tennis. If you lack self-belief, it might appear as doubting your ability, thinking you'll lose. Conversely, trusting in yourself shows up as confidently imagining yourself winning and succeeding. But then, how do I go from not betting and believing on myself and believing to myself? First of all, pay attention to your environment. Maybe people and situations around you are conditioning you to think and so behave in a certain way. Pay attention to activities you do and how you do them. Maybe you just feel like you can do nothing and you do everything poorly because you have no interest in doing anything fully and you are half-assing stuff. Therefore, doing stuff bad, which then decreases your sense of belief or trust in yourself. Pay attention also to the places you go. You stay to. Maybe they are damaging your inner self without you even realizing. I want to make an important point though. Self-belief, which is somewhat just like confidence, is created through evidence. If Pizarro had already conquered an empire, the situation would have been different. Do you feel it? Like when he was going to conquer the Inca Empire, if he had already a track record of having captured another empire, he would have been confident. He would have believed in himself more. I mean, he believed in himself already because he did figure stuff out, but to figure stuff out, you need to believe in yourself more. So, Alex Hormozy talks about this. He talks about having evidence. Like, he's one of the goats of philosophy, of the modern philosophy, I think, and he describes very well behaviors. And he says, confidence without evidence is delusion. Right, it's exactly that. But what do you do until you have evidence? You just crumble in your head. I think you can, until you have evidence, you can entertain the thoughts of you accomplishing the activity successfully, or whatever you're doing. Entertain the thoughts of successfully achieving that quest, successfully doing the activity well. Until you have evidence. Then with evidence, it's pretty easy. Every time you doubt or stumble a little, just look at your track record and breathe. Okay? So this was it for today. I hope it made sense. Remember, entertain the thoughts of possible success, just like in a tennis match, Okay, just like the story of Pizarro, you will figure stuff out a lot of times if you believe in yourself more. Okay, these two things are correlated, because you'll have the right pair of glasses. You spot opportunities everywhere because your mind is focused on solving the problem and not on the problem, which is not believing in yourself, but actually believing in yourself and thinking, even if maybe it's not true at the moment and you don't have evidence, that you still can manage to do it. You know? All right. Until next time, take care. Bye bye.